The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday, TGIF.
And we will not be on the air on Monday.
We will not be in. And at the end of the show, we'll give a little tribute to our veterans. I've got a couple little items I'd like to remind everybody of. But again, here we are with virtually, let's see, what do we got here?
Front page of the Boston Globe.
Boston Globe, Fall River Reporter, 2 articles in the Herald News, all about our amazing mayor and our council. Our council had a scrotumectomy. You know, they can't stand up. They can't stand up and do what they were elected to do, and even take a position. And like I said, I don't care. If you want to get up and tell the voters of the people of Fall River that you feel he should stay in, well, do so. But you're so worried about, you think people are going to forget this by the next election? Well, we won't let them.
True.
We will not let them. I will keep this article in the archives. We'll keep all this stuff in the archives, and we're gonna remind you during the next election cycle why these people should not be representing us. Because, look, you got a different opinion than I have, okay, but if you have an opinion with something as strong as this, let's look at this. Boston Globe. Fall River City Council votes no confidence mayor. And this is the way it starts. In a pair of largely symbolic measures, and that's right, all they could do was do something that's symbolic. They couldn't do what they really could have done to help the people of Fall River and stop this insanity of an article about something every single day and lawsuits and every other thing. But the third measure that would have removed Correia from office while his federal case is pending failed by a 5-4 margin. It's a ceremonial vote at best, said City Council President Cliff Pont of the no confidence. Yeah, you're right. They had a chance to temper, and they used every BS political, you know, let's not take responsibility for doing our job, even though, you know, we're required to by our Constitution, state and federal, to represent us. You know, they tried everything. All the zombies and up there saying, you know, innocent until proven guilty, and nobody's contesting that. But we know that you can't do the job when you have a perception that he has. And guess what? They didn't do it. They used it's going to cost too much money, threatening lawsuits. And, you know, we spend, well, what was the school bond issue? Over 200 million.
The bond?
The bond, yeah.
235 or 253 million.
$235 million, and we overrode 2.5 to add to your taxes, even though we didn't have to. And remember, they didn't have to. But now they're going to worry about a threatened suit? What better way to spend your money than to allow the Constitution and the people's rights to be heard and to dictate what government they want, as it is so clearly stated in the Declaration? But no, our council will not do anything except ceremonial. They should all be they should all be in line for succession to the throne as Queen of England, because that's all they are. It's a ceremonial council, and only the people who voted in favor of removing him, as far as I'm concerned, is even worth consideration in the next election. And I don't care who runs. You know, I don't care who runs, but I'll tell you what, I normally plunk for the people I think deserve my vote, but I will plunk for every new candidate that says they'll stand up and take a position before I do anything. But yeah, Boston Globe for the, what, second time now?
Second time in 2 weeks.
Herald got, the Herald's behind, so I'm anticipating an article coming from the Boston Herald shortly to piggyback on the Globe, because now the Globe's ahead. Two articles to one about Jasiel.
It wouldn't be so bad, but we keep making the front page.
Yeah, above the fold.
Above the fold.
Which
yeah,
is that's it. You know, that's the Academy Award of news.
Look how big that picture is. That's how big that picture is in the paper.
Yeah, and it's like above the fold. That's the Academy Award of news, so of newspapers. So again, and then we look at the Herald. What do we got here?
Fall River Mayor Jasiel Correia can't use legal defense fund. And we spoke about this briefly when we talked about the letter from Mark Bartholomew on Wednesday. But here's where we change now a little bit. Okay?
Second article.
The second article has nothing to do with the legal defense fund except.
Big except.
The mayor said on September 5th, 2017, that he knew he was under investigation by the FBI for SnoOwl. That means that was before he created the legal defense fund, which means all of the money can't be used. So he's got over $76,000 locked up that he can't touch.
Whoops. Whoops.
Didn't his lawyers say keep your mouth shut?
Yeah, well, unfortunately with him, it's not a, it's a, and again, the beat goes on, and even articles that are seemingly unrelated, there's two articles, Mayor Jasiel Correia can't use legal defense to fight fraud. Then in previous interviews, Correia says he only used $60,000 of money. So
$30,000 a year he claims he took as a salary.
In interviews, he admitted that he knew he was under investigation in that interview before he created the defense fund. So he created the defense fund expressly to defend himself for his private entity.
Exactly. That's what it appears.
Now all right, today, like, look, we've already got 3. Let's make it 4 that are related. City of Fall River threatens legal action against recall group. More harassment against recallers. No one is more familiar than CJ and I about harassment of recall groups. But I'll read quickly the letter sent by Corporation Counsel Joe Macy, who I guess is really earning that pay raise now. It says, it has come to the city's attention that you are using a logo so strikingly similar to that copyrighted and trademarked by the city of Fall River to be virtually identical. I guess Macy went to the My Cousin Vinny School of Law, because you remember that part in that movie when the prosecutor turned to the jury and said, virtually identical, the cop, okay? So, he went to My Cousin Vinny. This is a clear violation of the law. For your reference, a copy of the protected mark is enclosed. You are hereby notified and called upon to cease and desist and display your use of this mark forthwith and immediately. Failure to do so shall result in legal action. Now, the recallers, we have been told, they're not going to go to court. It's too bad. I wish I would have hit the megabucks, because I would have funded it. Because this is absurd. This is their logo.
And this is the city logo.
And that's the city logo, okay? Now, there's an F there. So you're going to tell me somebody can't tell the difference between an FR and an R? They don't know what the letter F is? And if you look at the hyphens, that's at the top of the F, and this is in the middle of the R. And it's FR versus R. So you're going to tell me that's strikingly similar? Did they teach the alphabet in the law school that Attorney Macy went to? That doesn't look similar to me. That looks like an R. And what does an R stand for on this thing? Recall. What does that one stand for? Effing recall? They're not the same. Sorry. Yeah, but again, harassment, want them to spend unnecessary money, and they're going to save their money to use the other court challenges, because they will come. They will have to get their lawyers involved, because the duplicitousness of these people is sad. The mayor will say, I'm going to sign that petition. They have a right to do it. I'm going to sign that petition. Then in the next breath he says, I want everybody else not to sign it. Well, if they have a right, you should be telling all your people to sign it. Don't even worry about getting the signatures. I'm going to send all the zombies down. We're going to have a big, giant mass meeting of all the zombies, and they're going to sign the petitions. And let's let the people speak. That's what you should do if you're really sincere about what you said. But it's all BS. It's all political. It's all political posturing and rhetoric. You don't mean any of this. I'm just going to let them go. I'll run for re-election. But then you file this harassment suit, strikingly similar. I guess that maybe that's what the zombies call the recall. That's why they thought it was similar. They don't just call it the recall. They call it the effing recall. So maybe that's why the symbol is so strikingly similar to them.
And just so that we know, the people who have put together this recall effort do not want to be called recallers. No. They want to be called petitioners.
Well, I mean, they're petitioning.
There's only one group of recallers. That's it.
Well, they don't want to be associated with all the degenerates that ran the other one. And you're looking at a couple right here. But you know, they have the people on their side. We had to convince the people that we were right.
That's right.
Because when we started, everybody laughed and said, you know, but we put forward a case about Mayor Flanagan's lack of ability to do the job with a myriad of items. So we had a different thing. We didn't have the people calling us. That's a classic example of labels. These people are doing the right thing. I truly believe in what they're doing. But we did the right thing too. But that's the difference, the label. We were anarchists and terrorists and every other name.
We were Satan's spawn child.
The spawns of Satan, and we were attacking, you know, a highly popular mayor. But now these people are, now these people are heroes. So one man's terrorist is another man's patriot.
Yep.
So they're patriots. But I have to respectfully disagree with them not being. I would be, you know, you should be proud to say you're initiating a recall petition.
Yeah.
You should be proud to be initiating it in the city. That was the first city in the history of the state of Massachusetts to have a successful recall.
That's right.
So you should be proud of that title. But I know maybe you just don't want to be affiliated with us, the degenerates and stuff. But,
I've got a new mantra for Fall River.
Yeah.
To advertise the city. Fall River, home of the recall.
That's it. But again, here we are with all kinds of news, lawsuits about the logos, and then it'll be a lawsuit about this and a threatening of law. And what really disturbs me is the Corporation Council is acting as an obstructionist to the process, because that's what he's doing. This letter is just an obvious attempt to obstruct the process. I'm sorry.
And, I was speaking to a former city councilor a little earlier this morning, and she made it clear that the city council never voted to adopt this logo or this phrase as the city motto, or even to use it for branding.
And so technically, Joe Macy has no right as the city attorney to put it on city stationery, because the city itself has not adopted it.
That's right. It hasn't been adopted by the city. Now, here's the other thing. How could the mayor copyright it without approval of the city council?
Another great question. Another great question.
Again, he's acting like a little dictator.
Well, he can do it because, remember, but he wasn't 19 when he did this. What was he, 24?
Yeah.
So that'll be the next excuse in the litany of excuses that we hear. So it will be, okay, as you said, now there's a question, and this is a very good point, CJ, very good point. Has our overpaid part-time corporation counsel, who obviously doesn't know an F from an R, there's two letters in their logo and one letter in this logo, And so, I mean, to call that virtually identical shows maybe he's got just eyesight problems. I don't know.
But you know, the thing is,
but then should he have done this? Did he have the authority to do this? Because technically, that's like filing a suit against somebody that's trying to talk about the Fall River seal that's not used the accepted Fall River seal.
that's right.
If that's not our seal, you can't say, well, as the Corporation Counsel for the city, I'm going to file suit.
And here's the funny part about it. He's got a copyright on it, but guess what? It's already been copyrighted by a New York bank. Remember?
So it's a copyrighted.
Yeah, so they copied the
It's a copy
copyright.
of the copyright.
Right.
Yeah, well, there's another question. But like I said, look, this is nothing more than wasting time and wasting money. And then I look at this letterhead and I see, remember when they got rid of one attorney and everybody said, what a great cost cut?
Yeah.
They got them back. They always come back. They're
Of
like
course.
ticks. You know,
Ticks,
you
yeah.
walk your dog up in the high grass and he's going to end up with a tick. So all these people that get on, we've seen it in every administration, but they just keep coming. But, you know, anybody in their right mind that thinks that this isn't a deterrent to effective government, having a mayor who is always for everything but doing anything for the city. What business? I mean, you know, think of yourself as a businessman that's evaluating Fall River, and you go, all right, first of all, as a businessman, they don't look at the mayor. They look at the area that comes. We all know that. Anybody who knows anything about business, what do? They want to make sure they're not going to open up a Gucci bag store in Appalachia, you know, where the average income's about $8,000 a year. Nobody's going to be selling Gucci bags that cost more than the annual income of the people anywhere. So first they're going to look at the city of Fall River's overall picture. Let's see. Lowest household income, lowest per capita income, highest number of people living below the poverty level, number one in crime, the most dangerous city in the state, second in New England.
Poor school system.
School system, it can't make it into the top 100, or I'll bet you our budget's in the top 100.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And we look at all these things, and then they go, well, you know, maybe let's see if this city is on the move. Let's check. Let's see if their government's got some plans, and we can come in and find a niche in this city. Then they start researching the city, and they go, Mayor, 13 counts federal indictment. Mayor. And they turn around, and since the indictment, they see nothing but articles and city council meetings. They're an absolute. Then they look at our council, and they go, these people are clowns too. They won't even get this guy out of office. 8 of them will vote that they have no confidence in him, and then they won't vote to get rid of him, and they had the power to do it. Damn the damn threatened lawsuit. Do your job. Matter of fact, file a complaint against the Corporation Counsel, because if he sticks his nose in the middle of the council, he's the city Corporation Counsel. He has to recuse himself. And by the way, by Massachusetts law, as a public official, if you get sued, you have the right to select your own lawyer. The city's got to pick up the tab because you're indemnified by the state law as an official. So you could get your own lawyers if you wanted to. So don't give me that baloney. You're worried about the cost. You know, the cost of doing business and the cost of the people it's priceless. It's like that credit card they talk about or something. It's priceless. Well, you know, if you were ever going to spend money, you know, with $235 million school bond, $10 million streetscapes, what have we spent? 300 million, 400 million in the past 3 or 4 years?
Not even that much time, past year.
Yeah, in the past year. But now everybody's going to wring their hands and say, oh, it might cost $300,000. I don't care. I pay my taxes for public safety, education, city services that actually mean something, not chiefs of staffs and press agents and all these other jobs. I pay to get my trash picked up. that get service when I walk into City Hall, to give them more of my money, fire, police, educating our children, and above all, for a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. A government that is guaranteed by our state constitution, Commonwealth Constitution, and by our United States Constitution, and clearly stated in the Declaration of Independence. So, from the beginning of this nation, the premise always was that we are the government, and we have a right to change any government that is not working in our interests. And when our city councilors don't exercise their obligation, because as far as I'm concerned, they don't have a right. They have a duty and an obligation, because they are, by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Constitution, they are at all times our agents to do what we have told them to do. The city of Fall River, the people of Fall River have been pretty clear about what they want. The fact that these recallers, oh, I'm sorry, what do they want to be called?
Petitioners.
Well, yeah, well. Yeah. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It's not a turkey. They are recallers. What are they getting signatures for? What are they petitioning for? A recall. So, you know, it doesn't matter. What they're trying to do is their absolute right to do. It's the foundation of our country. Our country was created for the people, not a king, not a monarch, not the dukes and duchesses up in Boston, or the princes and princesses in our Congress, or the king that's sitting in the White House. This nation was created for the people to run it. And when it stops being run by the people, we are ordered. It's not only our right, as the Declaration, it's our duty to do what these people are doing. So you can call them anything they want, but call them Americans, because they're standing up for a fundamental right of all of us. And because you disagree, because this is your guy, like they did with the people who liked Will Flanagan, we were called everything short of, we can't even say it on the air. The FCC will come down and we'll get locked up. So, but I mean, all the things that we were called, because with people, it's all about who it is, not what the issue is.
I wear those stripes with honor.
You know, that's right. But it's all about if you like this person, they have a different set of rules, and that's not true. As Martin Luther King once said, an injustice to one is an injustice to all. And we remember the one I read in front of the council about if you don't speak up when they come for you, there'll be no one left to speak. And the fact is, if you like that guy, vote for him in the recall. Go down and sign a petition. Because when you don't like a mayor and you run a recall, you're going to be whining because somebody who likes the guy you're recalling won't sign your petition. We should all sign a petition. Everybody. All his fans and all the people who dislike him. Because let the people speak. That's just, you know, that's just my opinion on it.
Right, and that has nothing to do with like, dislike, or anything else. That has to do with the voice of the people being heard.
Yeah, it's about abiding. These people are all constitutionalists.
Yeah,
they all love to talk about their right. Oh, now when Kavanaugh was being stripped of his rights to due process and the presumption of innocence,
that was okay.
Everybody was running around with pitchforks and torches. That was fine because they don't like him. But now if Jasiel gets indicted, oh, wait a minute, now we're going to run around. You can't say that. These are only allegations and blah. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. Now, you know, he's a politician. As we've said before, perception is more important than as important as performance. And realistically, You know, that's the way it should be.
But that's not the way it is, as we all know.
But while we're on that, CJ, Veterans Day is coming on Monday, and please, over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, remember everybody who put on a uniform, but especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice for this nation. They are truly what this nation was built on, their blood and their sacrifice. Remember, everybody to put on a uniform, whether they served in combat or not, wrote a check, a blank check to this government that was cashable up to their life.
Yep.
And that's it. And now,
and that's what gives you the right to have a recall. That's
right. And because of that right, I want to talk about something I talked about earlier, the 442nd Infantry Regiment, right? An infantry regiment that was made up of Japanese Americans. And the reason I'm going to read you this is because I'm going to tell you, pay attention. This is a group of individuals who had every right to sit out the Second World War, stay in those concentration camps, internment camps, and give the finger to their government. And these people, for the most part, were Americans. They were Nisi, second-generation Japanese that were born in the United States. They could have sat in their internment camps. They could have given the bird and say, I'm not fighting for this country. They could have protested. They could have done all the things we see today when all the little snowflakes can't get their way. But what did they do? They did this 30 or 40 years after Teddy Roosevelt made that famous speech about there's no such thing as hyphenated Americans. You have to be an American first. You have to be loyal to your country. And even though their mothers, their fathers, their grandfathers, their grandmothers, their children were sitting in concentration camps, did they sit there with them and refuse? No, they were Americans in spite of what this country did to them. In spite of it. They weren't walking up from Guatemala. They lived in this country. They worked in this country. Now I'm going to read you a little bit of their history, and I urge you all to educate yourself. Go up and read. The 442nd Infantry Regiment is an infantry regiment of the United States Army and is the only infantry formation in the Army Reserve. The regiment is best known for its history as a fighting unit composed almost entirely of second-generation soldiers of Japanese ancestry, Nisi, who fought in World War II. Beginning in 1944, the regiment fought primarily in the European theater, in particularly Italy, southern France, and Germany. The unit's motto was "Go for broke." Now I'll give you a little bit of what they did. These people who were being persecuted by their own country, but put their country above their own persecution. The 442nd Regiment is the most decorated unit in United States military history. Created as the 442nd Regimental Combat Team when it was activated on February 1st, 1943, the unit grew quickly to its fighting complement of 4,000 men by April of 1943. During action in war, these 4,000 had to be replaced nearly 2 times, with a total of 14,000 men who served because of casualties and deaths, earning, now listen to this, these people got screwed over by their country, but this is what they gave to their country. And remember this, on Veterans Day, earning 9,486 Purple Hearts. The Union was awarded 8 Presidential Unit citations, 5 earned in 1 month. 21 of its members were awarded Medals of Honor. 21 Medals of Honor. And I had the honor of meeting 2 of the last 3 remaining Medal of Honor winners. Remember this when Veterans Day, and remember something that's just as important as what they gave to their country. Remember the circumstances under which they gave it. The next time you see these crybabies whining when they don't get their way and then condemning their government. They fought for a government that put them in concentration camps. They are true Americans.
Thank you, and remember, Sunday is a parade for the Veterans Day. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Wednesday.